Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I am Anthony Irwin, joined on this fine Thursday night by Raj Chapalu, also of Clutch Points. I'm Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points. Raj covers the G League and then occasionally also the Lakers for Clutch Points. Together, we record this here stupid podcast every so often as well. Especially after games. On this occasion, the Lakers beat the Portland Trailblazers 110-102. Pick up, and honestly, Raj, legitimately big win. Like they needed this one. Coming off of the loss that they just had with Luka out of the game for conditioning management or injury management or whatever we want to call it. LeBron went off. Austin Reaves was incredible. Rui sucked. You know, I only warned you guys about that previously, but we won't bring that back up. The Lakers also picked up, by the way, Raj's large adult son, Cole Swider. He is back in the organization.
Yes.
So that's exciting. Tonight was a fascinating entertainment night because before the game, the final of the Four Nations tournament in the NHL was being played. And I was absolutely blown away by the level of give a bleep in that game as the United States lost to Canada in overtime. So I want to, if there's time at the end of the show, we'll talk about the difference in, for lack of a better term, culture between hockey and the NBA. Again, that's at the very, very tail end of the show if we have time. But no, let's talk about this win, Raj. 110-102 is the final. Again, LeBron was incredible. 40 points tonight. 40 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, a block. Did have 11 turnovers, So he does go for the double-double in this one. Was a +8 in the game. Also manning the offense or basically generating all of the Lakers offense was Austin, who finished with 32 points of his own to go with 7 assists, a couple steals, a couple blocks. He had 6 turnovers. The Lakers need to stop turning the ball over to the extent that they are. They're keeping teams in games by way of the turnover. Also thought Dorian Finney-Smith was fantastic in this one. He finished tonight a game high +20.
Awesome.
On a night that Rui just didn't really have it. So that was of note. What was the biggest thing that jumped off the aside from LeBron? LeBron,
we can get it. Yeah, we'll get it.
I think Austin called it an old ass 40 ball. What LeBron dropped tonight. Aside from LeBron notwithstanding, what's your biggest note from this game?
Well, first off, I saw 0 minutes of the hockey game. I was watching Bucks Clippers, so I was watching the Clippers kind of blow the lead. So I really don't have anything on that game. But no, tonight, before we get into obviously LeBron, Austin Reaves was awesome, and I thought, you mentioned the turnovers, Anthony. The Portland Trailblazers to me have one of the best on-ball defenders in the league in Kamara, and he was full court pressuring. And they have a very, they have a high ball pressure team, and Robert Williams, that's kind of the strength of him as well, right?
Super physical on the perimeter.
So physical. And Danny Advia kind of fits into this as well. Got a lot of transition buckets. But I want to start with, how about Trey Jemison and Jordan Goodwin? I thought both of them had awesome contributions. Jemison is a great screener, and I'm glad Laker fans are kind of getting introduced to his crazy game where he's just super physical for no reason. He'll just bump a player just because he's in their way. He'll go out of his way to bump a guy, but he's also light on his feet. It's a really nice combination. He had a bunch of ball screen possessions with Austin and LeBron, just kind of getting them going downhill. And then Goodwin, I thought, had a really nice defensive game. How about this, Anthony? We closed with a two-way guy tonight. Jordan Goodwin closed this game. Now, I disagree with closing without a center. Honestly, I don't know how you felt about that, but small ball, look, JJ went to the two-way Jordan Goodwin, and I thought he delivered as a rebounder and on defense. So I just wanted to give both of them their flowers. Two guys that I've seen. Again, it's cool to watch guys who are fighting for every inch of property of real estate in the NBA get a chance and really kind of make do on that. But yeah, what to me stood out just in a larger picture, Austin and LeBron, just they have a lot on their plate. I think, especially when Gabe didn't really have it going until the end. Rui, you mentioned, struggled. Everyone else, Anthony, really relies on shot creation. You take away the rim pressure of Anthony Davis, and you mentioned, I think on the previous pod, JJ doesn't really like to play a lot of centers, went to small ball to close. That's a lot on the table, on the plate of Austin and LeBron to set everything up, which is why the 11 turnovers, I understood it. Second half of back-to-back, super ball pressure. But credit to both of those guys. I mean, just created every single tough shot. Austin getting punched in the face basically every time down, still dropped 32 and 7, I believe. LeBron with the 40 ball, both of those guys. And you have Luka on ice waiting, who's maybe the better playmaker out of both of them, just sitting in the wings. That's kind of what I took from this is those two have a lot on their plate. And they need Luka back to kind of spread the offense around, and we'll see how that fits. But this is a big-time win, man. Portland's been playing well. Super fun, energetic, young team that understands they can steal wins at this time of the NBA season. Chauncey has them playing well. And, LeBron and Austin delivered a big-time must-needed win.
Yeah, the Trailblazers, now this is in comparison to the rest of their season, which has been mostly a disaster, but they had won, not including this one, I think 7 out of the last 10.
Yeah.
And now that drops to 6-4 over the last 10 in the standings column when you see it, now that they lost this one, which seems a little bit more pedestrian. But when you look at a team that is currently sitting at 23-33, having won 7 of 10, that's the best stretch, Raj, that they probably had in like a couple of years.
Sure.
and it's that team is basically intact. I thought Donovan Clingan, started the game off, like kind of setting a tone of like, we are going to beat the shit out of you. If we don't beat you tonight, we are going to beat you tonight. And that's essentially the way that the Trailblazers operated all over the court. And for one thing, like Lakers aside, I don't think Chauncey Billups is going to be a particularly good coach. Like, I don't think this is his avenue or whatever. Like, I don't think this is like what he's going to be best at. But I will say this, like in terms of buy-in for a team that currently, like after tonight, sits at 23-33, a team that got after it to the extent that the Blazers did, that does say something that Chauncey brings to the table there,
Sure.
So I did want to like make that note over the course of the game. But yeah, like Austin, obviously got thrown out of the game in the one prior, made it known that he didn't like the way that the whistles were going in that one. And I'm not going to say it's as a result of being thrown out, but after making it known that, hey, that's not okay, and kind of speaking up for himself in that game, he got to the free throw line tonight, got to the free throw line 13 times, made 12 of those free throws. LeBron got to the line 8 times, made all of those 8 free throws. That is 20 points that the Lakers needed every single one of. And kudos also to them for making those free throws. That was one of the things at the end of the first quote unquote half of the season, as they were heading into the All-Star break. The Lakers in that Utah loss missed like
half their
40% of their free throws, whatever it was. And that always kind of speaks to me like a lack of focus there. In this one, the Lakers went 23 of 25. It just felt like the Lakers understood the assignment tonight. They knew what they needed to do, and they went out there and did whatever they needed to do to get the job done.
100%. This was a very serious performance, I thought, for everyone. Again, some guys didn't shoot well, but I thought there was a level of focus and just understanding. We can't, Anthony, I'm surprised LeBron played tonight. Like I was actually advocating for him to sit. I was thinking second night of a back-to-back. Luka's not playing. Kind of, let Austin and the other guys kind of handle this for, the other 28 games left. You just played 38 minutes the night before, had to travel. But he came out and was aggressive early. Jumper was going, deep. He played, I thought really good defense for most of the night, kind of holding this very aggressive young Portland team to tough shots. And, Simons had a tough night. Jeremy Grant, I barely noticed him on the floor. I wasn't sure he was out there for most of that game. Just
remember when they were like demanding two
first
for him?
Yeah, I think that's still the ask. I think if you ask around in Portland, it's not anymore. Okay, it's gone down. But in any case, Jeremy Grant is still there. So whatever the ask is has not met their expectations. So he struggled tonight.
1 of 12 tonight.
Yeah, he's had some rough games against the Lakers specifically. I think he went 1 for 13 or something the previous time we played them as well. Something interesting I thought tonight, Anthony, this game reminded me a lot. Obviously, the Lakers went up 18 very early, and then Portland pushed back in an aggressive tone. But this felt a lot more. Again, this isn't Luka's fault. I just not blaming him. This felt way more like the pre-trade Lakers in terms of obviously when AD went down, in terms of how the game was flowing, how the offense was looking. You were kind of asking for more offensive, plays between the two stars. And Austin and LeBron, I thought, ran way more action together tonight than they've done the last 3 games. A lot more ball screens with both of them going. A lot of switching from Portland, which I thought took us out of it. But I think that's the next challenge, right? Is how do you get this game with Luka's pace? I think that's the next step for this team. But I think Jackson Hayes is going to be important within that. A lot of small ball again tonight, but Austin and LeBron, this was a carry job by both of them. And that's what you kind of expect out of your offensive stars to kind of pull through on the road. I have a saying, Anthony, there's no such thing as an easy road game. It just doesn't exist in the NBA, really.
Not in Portland.
Especially not in Portland.
Like even Jen and I have been together for 21 years. It'll be 21 years this year. And if I were to bring Jen in, like she's watching TV in the next room, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to bring her in and be like, "Hey, babe, what do you think of the Lakers playing in Portland?" She'd be like, "Oh, we always lose there. Like, like we always lose there." And picking up a win in Portland, again, given the circumstances, like I stand by the phrasing I used a second ago. The Lakers understood the assignment. They needed this win, man. Like, given their schedule ahead, given the couple of stupid losses they have behind them, like they needed this one. And you mentioned like LeBron not playing. The last kind of segment that we had on the last show, the last time you and I spoke, was making fun of Luka's conditioning.
Right.
I kind of feel like LeBron playing in this one felt like kind of a subtle jab. Be like, hey, man, I'm 40. I can play. Like, get your conditioning up, kid. You want next? You want like, and by the way, I'm all for it. Like, if it was that, if it is that, I'm not saying it definitely is. It feels like it a little bit, especially dropping 40. Like I do kind of feel like it could possibly be in there. I think Sam Amick of The Athletic had a cool little tidbit on Luka's family watching LeBron warm up for a game like 3 hours before a game, and how they were like sitting there like looking at the workout that he put in and like the amount of work that LeBron puts in his body and in his readiness and all that stuff. And then you add that like little excerpt as background noise. And then the fact that LeBron is able to play on the second night of a back-to-back at 40 years old and drop 40 while Luka is sitting there like grabbing his side after running 3/4 of the court. Like I'm not saying it definitely is that, but I'm hoping it has that effect. You know what I mean? Like I'm hoping that like LeBron playing this way and putting on display what it has taken for him to have this incredible longevity. Like, I do hope that Luka looks at LeBron doing everything that he is doing and is like, okay, all right, that's the greatest of all time, or one of the GOATs. I know there might be some Michael stands listening. I'm sorry. Or Kobe stands. One of the GOATs. who is doing shit at 40 that no other athlete in professional sports has ever done. I don't need to hear about Tom Brady because I watched that motherfucker run when he was like 40 something years old. He did not look like LeBron. Like they look very different there. I'm watching LeBron do this at 40 years old, and I do kind of think that, like, for Luka, he's watching this take place, and I hope that he takes note. Like, am I overthinking this? Like, is this something that shouldn't run through my brain?
Yeah. I mean, it's just so fascinating, the dichotomy between LeBron just being in the best physical shape ever at 40 and Luka 25, prime of his career. You watch him run, it's like, man, can that guy go back and forth 5 times without, huffing and puffing? I'm sure there's some of that to it, right? I don't think LeBron is directly going to lead that way right now with Luka. I think he understands this is a long process, and this isn't just some young guy. This is a guy that can look LeBron in the eye, and and whether he's right or not, Luka can look LeBron in the eye and go, I'm past where you were at 25, right? I think LeBron made his first finals at 27. I think he made it earlier, but didn't win until then. But in any case, Luka is a guy, and LeBron's one of the few also that can look Luka in the eye and go, I'm where you want to be. Like, I'm ahead of you. Like, and that's very few people can do that. I don't even think Dirk can kind of have that eye to eye with Luka. So that's an interesting comparison between both of them, and how LeBron leads. But I'm sure there's some of that to it. I see that. I see some of that in Austin too, going, I know you're Luka Doncic, but I do this too. Like, I do this too. I can also drop 40. I don't know if Luka was in the building when Austin dropped 40. I think he was.
He was.
But yeah, he was, right. And so I'm sure some of that, both of them,
Pacers, right? That was after the trade.
Right. So there's some of this is where all three of them are kind of still, well, Austin, LeBron less, but all three of them kind of proving to each other, like, no, I'm here too. I can do this as well. And we just need you to kind of join. So I'm sure some of that's going on. Again, I don't think it's direct by LeBron, but I do. There's some of that. I mean, it's pretty loud. LeBron playing second half of a back-to-back while Luka, played his minutes and has to sit. You don't think it was a shot at Jared Vanderbilt, who played 13 minutes the night before and couldn't step up for the second night of a back-to-back either. But yeah, LeBron was incredible tonight, and hopefully that was a message to Luka. I don't think it was yet. It's too early in their relationship for that.
I don't think it doesn't have to be a shot
or a message. Sure.
Like, it could, like, doesn't it, even if it isn't so direct as a message, like, all right, let's take LeBron sending it out of the equation.
Sure.
I hope that Luka is taking note of the fact that a 40-year-old LeBron is capable of playing on the second night of a back-to-back, and a 25-year-old Luka isn't.
Sure.
I hope that Luka is taking note of the fact that a 40-year-old LeBron is capable of playing on the second night of a back-to-back, and a whatever he is. Is he like 27, I'm guessing? Jared Vanderbilt can't?
Yeah. I think it's like 27, 28.
Like the fact that he can't after playing 13 minutes the night before, which, by the way, I've heard some shit about Jared Vanderbilt and his readiness to play games. Like, just fucking play, man. Try it, see how it goes. But, like, I don't know. It doesn't have to be a shot, but it can still be a lesson. Like, it doesn't have to be a shot from LeBron to Luka, but it can be something that Luka takes note of, because, like, again, there's so much that youth is wasted on the young, I can't. It's this weirdly weird thing that, like, at this stage of my life, that I look back on the way that the stuff that I was able to do physically at certain ages, and it's like, man, shit, I'm never going to be able to do that again. Dunking a basketball is like never even grabbing the rim, was like that is not something I will ever be able to do again. Running an under 6 minute mile, like all of these things that I just like kind of took for granted when I was able to do them. And then all of a sudden you're not able to do them. Huh?
6-minute mile is still in your future, Anthony. That can come back.
Totally, yeah. You know, if there's anything people with double chins can do is running an under 6-minute mile. But like the thing about like Luka is that, again, like I said in yesterday's show, his like physical abilities can kind of go one of two ways here, right? He can go the Kobe LeBron route where they really start taking themselves even more serious with their conditioning and their nutrition and all of those things and extend their careers. Or Lucan can go like the Sean Kemp route, who, like Sean Kemp, you would have never imagined at any point in your life. You would look at Sean Kemp after he retired and you're like, Jesus, that guy was one of the greatest dunkers in the history of the sport. I remember like watching like Sean Kemp highlights, and then I saw him at like an all-star thing after those highlights. I was like, gee, that's the same guy. What? And I just think that like I really hope that like another version of this, when Kobe was on the Olympic team and all of those other guys, LeBron included, saw the way that Kobe worked, like that changed, like legitimately, Raj, changed the course of NBA history. Those guys getting to work with Kobe over the course of a summer and see what kind of work he was putting in, like that changed what LeBron would wind up doing in his final chapters. That changed what Dwayne, what Carmelo, what those guys, Dwight even was willing to do to extend their careers. And I think for Luka, he has this great opportunity here if he's actually paying attention, and I hope he is, to what like LeBron is willing to do or has done to this point, so that he can, on the second night of a back-to-back, put up 40 points on the road in a game that the Lakers low-key needed with a capital N.
100%. And I think this has to come from inside Luka, though, right? Like, to me, this isn't something where LeBron can drag him, to the water and say, hey, I can show you everything. Here's my experience. Luka's so good, and he's past the just.
Kobe didn't drag those guys. He just put in the work. Like there's the stories of like those guys were like going into the gym and they were like, ha ha, I'm gonna show Kobe today. I'm getting there super early. And 100%. Kobe was wrapping up his workout. He didn't call them, was like, hey man, I'm going into the gym. What are you guys thinking? Like he was just like, I'm gonna go get my work in. And then those guys were showing up. He's on his way out when they're on their way in. And he's like, oh yeah, I kept it warm for you.
Right. He's already there in a pure sweat.
Yeah.
And LeBron's that type of worker too, right? I think the stories about LeBron are starting to grow in terms of this dude's there in the training facility every day. He's doing weightlifting. That's the stuff you hope Luka just, gets by watching and just by osmosis, that he kind of learns that. But again, I think Luka's in a star tier where this has to come from within inside him. This can't be something that can be pushed towards him. I think the Mavericks, that was their mistake with them. And at least when I'm reading from the reporting, Anthony, was they were trying to push Luka into that and almost shame him into it, right? And Luka's just too good of a caliber player to try to shame him into anything, and that obviously didn't work. So I think the Lakers have to, and I think they will, and LeBron will as well, take a different approach to that. But no, you're right. Like LeBron's, I think, going to reveal as much as he can. I mean, he was doing that with Rui Hachimura, right? Let Rui shadow him for a summer. Now, like, it's interesting to see what the result.
Summer.
You're right. Yes. From the
he gave up after one summer. He's like, good luck, bud.
Stop following me. Is that what he said? He's like, no, that's not nice. But no, Rui did, improve. I think his improvements have kind of gone under the table. But no, LeBron's gonna let Luka follow him wherever he wants. They're gonna work out together. I also think Austin can take stuff from Luka as well. This works the other way as well, right? So hopefully Austin's able to kind of see what Luka does in terms of how he got better and improved. But no, this is a tremendous opportunity for Luka, and I'm sure him watching LeBron do this does something. He was on the bench, doing the golf clap every time the Lakers had a nice score, not really showing off too much emotion or nothing like that. But that's another psycho killer the Lakers have on the bench that they need him to get in shape conditioning shape pretty soon here.
Yeah, I also like I want to talk about Austin in this one, and I also just want to marvel at the stuff that LeBron was doing, where it was just like force of will shit,
Yeah.
like there are some games that LeBron goes off and it's like you look up and he made like 7 threes or something like that. He made 4, which is a good number for him, 4 of 8 from 3-point range, but 14 to 4 of 24 from the field, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Like this was LeBron basically just, and again, this is insane at 40. This was LeBron just saying, we are not fucking losing this game.
Yeah.
Like that's Raj, that's insane. There are players that go their entire careers who are never able to say that, who are like the vast majority even of NBA players were never at any point able to say like, no, we are not losing this game. And LeBron at 40 was like, you know what? I know that Portland is playing well, and I know that they have like the kind of size and physicality on the perimeter, and then like also size and physicality because of Klingon and Robert Williams to give him problems on the interior too. And LeBron's just like, I don't care. We are not losing this mother bleeping game. And like, I know that like people kind of make fun of the whole notion of like, don't take LeBron for granted. Don't take LeBron for granted. Like when people send out those tweets, it induces eye rolls. I'm telling you, Lakers fans, NBA fans, sports fans, do not take this dude for granted, because you are not going to see this kind of performance from 40-year-olds in any sport, basically, from here on out, or ever before, really, unless it's like a one-off. But it's not a one-off with LeBron. This has happened on multiple occasions this season.
You'll never see this again. They had a graphic on Spectrum. LeBron's averaging 29, 8, and 9 or something since his birthday of when he turned 40. Right? It's just stupid and ridiculous. This is so out of normal, Anthony. I don't think people realize, like, forget 40. 37, 38 is where the real decline starts to happen. Like Kevin Durant doing what he's doing at 37, 38 is amazing. It's incredible. And I'm not comparing him to these type of players, but you watch, like, I was watching the Philly game today, and you watch Paul George at 34, right? And Paul George can't get up more than like 15 shots in a game his team is down by 30, right? And people are making jokes about Paul George, but the cliff comes quick for older superstars. It just does. Even someone who has the insane bag that Paul George does. LeBron doing this at 4, like, this is the best his jump shots ever looked as a Laker, which is a stupid sentence as well. But like, there's a year where he won a title within that. His jumper's better now. The 3 ball, like, it feels like it's going in. His arc is the best, and I think it's been at, as a Laker. It's absurd. He had a one-hand running floater tonight, which looked like he just did for fun. Like, he's like, let me just try this one-hand floater, and it switched through, and he looked at his hand. This is a guy that's been hooping forever and still looks at his hand when he makes the shot. Like, oh my God, did you do that? Like, just the enthusiasm that he comes with and the joy he plays with every day. It's insane. And, we're very lucky to watch it on a daily basis. And Luka's the new shiny toy, right? And all the headlines have kind of been dominated on him. And I think some of it obviously deservedly or understandably has gotten lost, that LeBron's having a freaking ridiculous season. I mean, just absolutely stupid season that is continuing on, where he dropped 40 tonight, and just super consistent, Anthony. I'm just leading the team in, every category, still creating every shot for the offense. LeBron's insane. There's no more words to describe him. This is just expected now. It's stupid.
Really quickly, I want to come back to the offense, but Omaris makes a good point here. 17-game sample at this point. That's almost a quarter of the season that the Lakers have had the number 1 defense statistically. I hate the easy question, like, is this real or whatever? But like, if they do regress, how far does that regression hit? Like I guess my question is, we've been talking about the Lakers as if they need a historically great offense to be a legitimate championship contender this year. I literally wrote that on today's my column for Clutch Points today. But if they're able to maintain even like a slightly above average defense, that really lightens the load as they try to build this offensive system, this plane mid-flight. Do you think they can maintain that kind of altitude defensively?
I think, again, this is not how really contenders work, but I think good offense leads to good defense for this team, right? And I think it's very important that they stay out of transition versus the other team. But they have committed, and again, it's so fascinating to watch a team go through this. I just don't remember a team, Anthony, that has gone through this seismic shift of a defensive identity, right? Which was funnel to Anthony Davis, let him, clean up all the mistakes, to that guy's not here anymore and is not coming back. And there is no one that fills that need. Jackson Hayes, again, to me, fills a different role where he kind of fills in more with the wings. It's a tough style to play, but I think if Luka's Luka, which I think we all expect him to be eventually, and I think they can't look, they're not going to be the number one defense. There's going to be some regression that's going to come. Again, this is a style of defense that's tough to play night to night. It just takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of your legs to be running around flying like that. But I mean, DFS, Vando, Gabe, those are all players that kind of fit into that identity. But there's going to be nights where kind of teams run off that or are able to pick on you on the other end. But yeah, there's a regression coming, but if the offense picks up at the same time, I think they should be okay. That's what I'm betting on. Just the offense hits a level where the other team, is fighting for their lives, trying to defend Luka, LeBron, and Austin in ball screens. And on the other end, you have to fight against DFS, Vando, LeBron, on switches, trying to create offense and taking your legs out of you. I think that's the formula that they're going to go with. Jackson Hayes fits into that. We'll see if Jemison fits into that. That was an interesting game from him tonight. He's already lapped Len in 2 games, which I find that hilarious. Alex Len lasted 2 games, and Jemison kind of lapped him up already. But yeah, I think that's where their regression will come. But this defense has been working. Anthony has been consistent. The team has, I think, bought into the system they're at. Everyone has help responsibility. There's no one player that has this, and I think it's helped the rebounding. I don't know if you've noticed, but everyone's boxing out now. Like, I know Anthony Davis is watching at home somewhere going, why not then? But like Ruiz like in a box out position almost every possession now. And I'm like, man, this would have been a great 3 weeks ago. But DFS is also a very much of a box out player. I love the way he rebounds. Jackson Hayes obviously is an AD, but he does this thing, Anthony, where he taps out every ball he gets a hand on. It creates an extra 3 or 4 possessions that you don't really notice until a lead from like 5 goes to 8, because you get a tap out 3. It's just these little wins the Lakers are getting as a small ball team that are allowing them to play that way. But we'll see if it continues. And I think JJ is going to try to continue to buy minutes as a real small ball center team.
It was basically like a sink or swim moment for the Lakers defense when they traded AD, where it's like, because they traded for Dorian, and I thought that was like the first domino to fall that like led to where the Lakers kind of currently reside defensively. Vando also got healthy. I think that was a big part of it as well. But basically, when like you think of the Lakers defense as a kid learning how to ride a bike.
Okay. Yeah.
Where like the physics are there. All the kid has to do is just pedal, and they'll learn how to like the bike is going to stay upright because of the physics and the way that bikes were designed. Like, all the kid has to do is like trust the bike and trust those physics and just keep pedaling until they want to hit the brakes, and then just like stay upright when you hit the brakes. And then like once you ride a bike once, it's like, oh man, this really wasn't all that hard, And I really kind of think that, and I'm not blaming AD for this, by the way, but I think that like Anthony Davis was kind of those training wheels that like stopped the Lakers from actually operating the bike the way that it was supposed to be operated, and trusting the bike in the way that it should have been trusted. And it is kind of a bummer that they're finally playing defense this way after Anthony Davis is gone. It would have been fun to see what the Lakers defense was capable of if they defended this way while AD was there. They won a championship that way.
Right.
But I do kind of think that given the fact that they have seen the proof of concept, there's a decent chance here that this defense, while I don't think it's going to remain the best defense in the NBA,
Sure.
Moving forward, because OKC is like a historically great defense. But do I think they can be good enough defensively to where they don't have to be the historically great offense? I think that's in play.
Sure.
I think now what they really need to do, and this is also something I wrote again for clutch points, is that like when they get their stops, when Luka, is healthy, they got to run on those stops, and they got to take advantage of turn those stops into points on the other end, just to help out their offense while it kind of figures itself out. Like that's something that they're gonna have to really figure out. But like, yeah, I think the defense can be okay. The offense, though, obviously they played without Luka tonight. Austin looked the best that he has looked in a while. The last time that Austin looked the way that he did tonight was against the Pacers.
Sure.
The Lakers have been doing this thing recently where they would sit LeBron first, and then Luka would sub out second, and then Austin would basically run the second unit on his own. I don't think that is the right rotation for him. I think the way that we saw the offense function tonight with LeBron and Austin really hammers home this idea of LeBron and Austin should operate together. And if you're going to have one of those guys playing on his own, it should be Luka.
Yeah.
Especially once he gets his conditioning right. But without even like leading you in any which way, how does Luka fit into the way that the Lakers executed offensively tonight?
Yeah, that's what's so funny, because when you phrase it that way, it should be the other way. Like it should be, right? It should be, how does everyone else fit around, the greatest offensive creator that's probably, played. So I'm with you. Just speaking on the Austin point, I think what the Lakers are trying to do, and I'm assuming what JJ wants, is to get as many reps as he can with Luka and LeBron together, right? And to get to that point, you're just gonna have to have them sit at the same times, because then they would just both be playing a ton of minutes. So I understand Austin being the one that gets his own unit, and Austin's a little bit more, can get downhill, can score kind of off the bounce against switches. But like, it's gonna take some adjustment. I've said this before. I think this has to be Luka, gets in the front seat and is like, all right, you guys, I appreciate you guys been driving, but I got it. There's a little turbo button here that you guys never saw. Like I can kind of get to that.
Yeah.
And I can press that, and I can kind of go on a lane in the freeway that you guys really don't drive on. And I think that's kind of where this team explodes at. Again, we're seeing glimpses, in his plays. We saw it through the post against Charlotte. We saw it through pick and roll against Utah. We haven't got the full exposure of it yet. And a lot of that, again, is Luka's conditioning. But I think that's how he fit. Like, asking how Luka Doncic fits, that's just, I don't think that's how this team is going to operate at its best. And they're going to kind of still be in this not step on your toes portion of the season. I understand that, but Luka has to be Luka, man, for this team to go anywhere. And like this, being kind of not having his full aggression, I just don't think this team gets to where it wants to go. But like tonight, I think there's places where you saw Austin and LeBron screening for each other, working together off ball screens, getting the switch they want. They were hunting Robert Williams on a lot of actions. I would like to see Luka and Austin work together. Even if Luka's not always setting the screen, Austin can screen for him. LeBron can screen for Luka. Kind of put those three in actions together where there's a triangle and you make the kind of defense react to them, rather than, all right, Luka, this is your turn. LeBron, this is your turn. Austin, it's your turn. And doing that, none of them are in rhythm. You kind of lose the best of all three of them. I think if you kind of have actions together where Luka's creating I think that's kind of where Luka fits. But JJ has time. I think he'll figure that out. We'll see what it looks like against Denver on Saturday, where I'm assuming Luka will also play. And Denver plays a drop back defense as well with a lot of aggressive guard coverage. It'll be fun to watch Denver against this version of the Lakers. Maybe Anthony, you won't want to run away against Denver after the Saturday game. We'll see how that. We'll see how that Saturday. We'll see how that. We'll see how that Saturday game goes. And hopefully, Luka's able to break out in that one against his buddy against his buddy Jokic, which should be a fun one.
That was an insane thing you just said.
What?
Maybe you won't be afraid of the Denver Nuggets after Saturday. Raj, they just won their 9th straight tonight.
I mean, they haven't played great competition these last.
They won their 9th straight tonight. The 3-time MVP, Nikola Jokic, is having probably his best season to this point.
Sure.
And you're telling me that after Saturday, maybe just maybe, I won't be terrified by the Denver Nuggets.
I want to see how it looks. We needed someone to hunt Jokic on ball screens a little bit more. We finally brought that player in. Now, is he in the best shape? Maybe not. But by the way, just really quickly, I think you mentioned Luka watching LeBron, or even comparing kind of how Kobe's. I think Jokic is the guy for Luka to look at. Jokic, people forget now because Jokic is still big, right, Anthony? But Jokic was a lot bigger before. And I think it was around his age 26, 27 season where he came in slim. Like it was, oh, wow, Jokic slimmed down. But we forget now because that still looks big in general. But Jokic did slim down. And that's really when he went on this MVP chase. He had this. It's funny. It was against Portland. He had this triple overtime game against Portland in the playoffs. I don't even remember this, but Denver and the Blazers played. I think Nurkic was on the other side. They had a triple overtime game, and it looked like Jokic was gonna pass out on the court. And that summer he came back skinny. He came back in shape. And that really, I think, changed the trajectory of not just him, but of the Denver Nuggets franchise. Jokic was always a star, an all-star, but he became the best player in the league after that. So I think that's more of what I think Luka can look at and go, that dude changed his body and just dominated in a way that, is historic. So we'll see if Luka can do the same.
I'm trying to upload it right now. But I actually have some behind the scenes footage of Jokic putting in the work that season that you're talking about here. Yeah, actually. Oh, wow. Look at this. Producing on the fly. Here is never before seen footage of Nikola Jokic getting into shape the way that you're talking about. Legitimately one of my favorite clips of all time.
Is that a real? Is Kirby and Jokic a real comparison? I've never seen that. I've never seen both of them put in the same context. So I'm just a little confused. Not gonna lie. I thought you were gonna play a clip from the Court of Gold or something. That's what I expected to come out, and that's just
nope.
Not.
It's this. Oh, I love that clip. It's just it always makes me laugh. All right, let's go ahead and dive on into the super comments on that super professional note. All right, so the first one here is
I had a serious Luka Jokic take, and you just absolutely destroyed it by playing this Kirby.
It was a great take. It was a fantastic take. It was really, really good. It made me also remember Kirby. And that good. All right, here's what actually happened. Adam and I used to record Adam Mares from DNVR. We used to, back in the day, record Locked On NBA together. And we record like legitimately one of my closest friends in this entire industry is Adam. And Adam spent so many years telling me, dude, this guy Jokic is going to be incredible. This guy this guy this. And finally I saw Jokic play one time and like marveled at the fact that this guy is so good at basketball despite breathing like predominantly through his mouth.
Right.
And I was like, there's no, all right, this guy is really good. I will grant you that, Adam. But there's no way somebody shaped that way is ever going to be very good at basketball. Like to the extent that Adam said he was going to be really good. And then Adam was like, no, I promise. Like he's like really working really hard to get in shape. And then I found that clip, and every Locked On NBA show that like Adam would talk about Jokic's conditioning, I would play that clip. And it became one of my absolute favorites. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive on into super comments here. I don't know why I'm not popular in Denver. Barnes writes, Jemison and Koloko are way greater than Len. They can actually move on the court and have some athleticism. Hilarious. Len is already benched. Great signing, Rob. All right, I'm going to give Rob, and you guys know me. I don't normally, offer Rob very much bail here. But I will say that the Lakers know that they are at a really big size deficiency. And the thinking with Len was that's the biggest guy who is going to become available, who can still play even a little bit in the NBA this bayout season. So they really hustled, and they made a decision on Len. To like they back channeled, they talked to his agent, and they were like, hey, like we really think this guy, we're not going to promise anything, but we really think this guy can fill a need for us at some point this season. Because and look, I also like what Jemison brings to the table. I like guys with the motor that Jemison has, where he just like fights people for the sake of it. I've liked Koloko all season. Again, for the sake of his motor. But those guys, I think, combine way about as much as Len does. And it's nice to be able to throw that pitch if the Lakers decide they want to throw that pitch for like 5 minutes against Jokic in a playoff game. And we'll see if it's worth it, like the opportunity cost or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not giving up on the Len signing because you can't teach size. Like look at the extent to which teams are loading up with size across the league, where you have Boston have like 7 centers on their roster, and you have Cleveland play 2 centers with Len or with Allen and the guy from USC whose name I'm forgetting.
Mobley.
You have Orlando. They're playing multiple centers, and like it's Dallas like traded Luka Doncic to go out and get another center when they already had Lively and Gafford. So like,
which is a mistake, but yes.
Yeah, it was widely considered a mistake. But I also watched the beginning of that Houston game while AD was healthy, and they were beating the ever-living shit out of the Houston Rockets in that game. Who also, by the way, Raj, not small. I understand JJ Redick is like inclined towards small ball, but and I don't think obviously Alex Len is the long-term solve at center, but I do think eventually the Lakers are going to have to bring in not just one center this upcoming offseason, but 2 legitimate centers probably, because that's where this league is headed.
Yeah, I just had frightening thoughts when you just put Alex Len and Jokic in the same sentence, and that absolutely scared the crap out of me.
All right, you have like Vanderbilt in or Rui and Jokic in the same sentence. Like,
yeah, sure, but at least there's some tangible production that you're getting in other places. Again, if
100%.
Alex Len was maybe the Len of 3 years ago, I just watching him move, and again, I'm gonna give him some grace, give him some time. Maybe he was also on a can't play in the second half of back-to-back. He did play 10 minutes last night against the Charlotte Hornets, so maybe that was part of why he didn't get in tonight either. But he just doesn't fit to me the identity like that this team is moving towards.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so glaring. It's not just that he's not playing well. He's a slow-footed big that can't jump. Like
It's
playing
the
next to
jumpedness that hurts.
yeah,
Like
yeah. You're
I
like 7'2". Like the height that you need to jump is not
yeah.
that far. But even then, like his reach already puts him at like 10, 11. Like how high? But it's just his reaction time. He's a drop coverage big against teams that largely have guys who are going to punish him off the bounce shooting. It just doesn't fit to me. And again, yes, you can throw him in and he'll get 3 fouls. He'll kind of absorb and he'll run back and forth and kind of have some semblance of understanding because he's been in the league. He's been in the league like 13 years. That's a long career for being 7. He's obviously
This
played.
is probably Len's last team.
I don't know. 7'2" guys will just continue to. DeAndre Jordan is continuing to like.
DeAndre Jordan can still get off the ground.
Couldn't hear, but maybe in Denver for some reason.
He has been able to in Denver. I think it's the altitude, thinner air. He just gets off the ground faster.
Doesn't that hurt your jumping?
Justin Tyndall writes, if Len can't do anything physically against the Joker, he's borderline useless and unplayable. If that's the case, is Hayes 20 minutes a night and then small ball? I do think like Jackson played 28 minutes tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to average, I think, from here on out like 23 to 25 at least. I think JJ has been really reluctant to see him go over 20. But I do think that like for the Lakers to look the way that they need to consistently look and be able to throw multiple pitches, Jackson Hayes, this is terrifying to say, Jackson Hayes is going to have to play like 25 minutes a night.
I agree with that. And I'm not really sure what the reluctance is for. I haven't seen anything from Jackson that tells me his motor dies at a certain amount. I'd love to see how long this car runs. And a lot of the turnovers, and you mentioned, I think 11 for LeBron tonight, 6 for Austin. A lot of those came without a rolling big man on the floor, and really rolling big man is Jackson Hayes right now because Koloko, I'm not even sure, dressed. Jemison is a jump. Jemison can at least, again, Jemison also, he's light on his feet. He's not the quickest leaper, but you compare him to Len, and he's basically a high jumper, so he can like at least he can go up and catch lobs. But a lot of the turnovers came when the Lakers didn't have a lob threat, and I think against a team that switches a lot, your passes are in more crowded lanes. It just opens stuff up. His rim pressure as a rolling big, he just has a high catch radius and can jump, out the gym. It just changes how the way the Lakers can be defended. So I'm with you. I think more Hayes minutes. Now there's detriments to that. The basketball IQ starts to really pop up with Jackson when you increase his responsibility. But I think on this team, like he's another guy that should be fed baskets with the way the playmaking is. So I'm with you. More Jackson Hayes, minutes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that like you mentioned in yesterday's show how like Luka got into the paint and then he looked to throw a lob and Len was like,
yeah, no, I'm not getting that.
They're gonna have to address that at some point, like with him. Either it's like, hey man, either get off the floor or get off the floor. Like you know what I mean? Like your feet have to leave the floor, or you can't play for us.
Well, Len would be like, have you watched me play? Have you seen my games?
And Rob Pelinka would be like, no, I haven't.
All
okay.
All right.
Figure it the fuck out.
Oh man.
All right. Brandon Omang writes, Jemison Goodwin is greater than Shake and Len. Give them they don't have the room to sign 2 more guys under the second apron. And I've been told pretty definitively that the Lakers are not going to go above the second apron to sign the likes of like Jemison or Goodwin or whomever. Who they can actually go above the second apron if they positively want to. I'm just told that they are under strict orders from on high. You are not to exceed the second apron for Jemison or Goodwin or whatever other center or wing that you're thinking about out there.
Yeah, they have one more spot, right, that they can kind of hand that out
Yeah.
to. And there's really no rush with Goodwin and Jemison because both of them are just new on two ways. So they have a lot of room to go in terms of the games that they can play. I would guess Koloko gets, converted, him or Goodwin. We'll see how consistent minutes Goodwin gets. But Goodwin's been like fantastic. And just,
I
I'm
think it's
so happy.
Goodwin. I think
Yeah.
Goodwin
And
ends up getting
his,
converted. They
his
like
defense.
once they sign Len, the need for Koloko dissipated quite a bit.
Not the need, but I guess the what you would get out of that position. But
Yeah. All right. Alicia Clark Jones writes, "Does it seem like Rui is getting worse?"
Did you tip this one in? Like, was this
Alicia? I'll hit you after the show. Dude,
this feels set up. This feels like a self alley-oop. Like you threw the lob off the backboard.
My mentions were an absolute tire fire all show. Or not all show. Well, all show too, but like over the last like 24 hours because of the things that I said about Rui on the show and then the tweet that I had about how like the Lakers need to stop waiting for Rui to become the player that they need and then like instead to just use him to go out and get the player that they need. Absolute tire fire for 24 hours. A lot of those mentions really kind of like just like this like blew into the wind as this game was going on. And by the way, I wasn't rooting for that to be the case. I want Rui to figure this out, but I just don't think he is the volume shooter that the Lakers need him to be to maximize. Like we talked about how they have a whole bunch of turnovers because they need the lob threat on the other end of Luka and LeBron. I think like there's a lot of potential assists that are being squandered because a lot of those looks are going to like Rui Hachimura, who is not a volume shooter. Like all of his threes are like even now are still wide open, and he's just not making them. And he's not good enough to fit. Now, you did point out the way that he was boxing out. I think he deserves credit for that, but he's not good enough defensively to make up for the fact that like he's not as automatic as you need him to be offensively. And I hope that changes. But if it doesn't, from here through the end of the season, the Lakers are going to have to think long and hard about what they do with that expiring contract this summer and going into next season.
Yeah. I mean, so again, it's tough. I was trying to find the catch and shoot stats from tonight, but it doesn't look like it's updated. But didn't look like any of them were that open. It felt like Rui took a lot of contested threes. I tweeted out, I think he should throw a pump fake in once in a while just to, I think he can get to the rim a little bit more. But yeah, this was a rough one from him. But again, tonight, I think games like tonight, and I think these are games where sub DFS for him. Let Jackson Hayes close over him. He didn't need to close tonight. We went to a small ball look to close the game, and he stayed in. I just thought this was a game where you could have benched him and had another guy in. He clearly didn't have it. He did have a really clutch mid-range jumper that while Portland was kind of making their run, the ball got tapped out to him, and he hit this like nice mid-range shot to kind of stem the tide. But no, this was a rough one. Again, he's what, 1 for his last 11. 8 or not 11 from 3. Yeah, I mean, so hopefully there's regression back to the 43% coming. We could use it on Saturday against Denver. That'd be a nice place to start. But tonight didn't look like the shots he should have been taking. And you got to give Portland some credit there. They were very aggressive on their defensive help and stuff like that. But no, tonight was a rough one. Work well from your comments last night to
part of the problem with Rui is that like even if he blows by a defender like on a pump fake and then first step kind of thing, his technique isn't great where it actually takes a whole bunch of training in the NBA where for most of us, if we go into like if you and I, Raj, are like standing still and then we go into a sprint, our first step weirdly is backward. You know, and in the NBA, they spend a lot of time working on guys so that their first step isn't backwards, it's just forward. And some guys figure it out, some guys don't. And I watch Rui, and he does this thing where when he pump fakes on somebody closing out to him, he lifts that first leg really high, and it makes that first step take forever. And he has huge hands, and so like he just like he's able to palm the ball. And I think like, and so like the pose that I'm thinking of Rui in is like he'll pump fake, and then his left foot will still be on the ground, his right foot will be real high up in the air, and the ball will be way up here near his head. And it's just like all this wasted motion when really all he needs to do is like pump fake and go like straight off that left foot and just go. And it takes him forever to go there. And that's why a lot of his like pump fake and go shots wind up being mid-range jumpers, because he's not clearing enough space off of that first step.
He's robotic in his motions, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing that stands out between him and Dorian. Dorian, he catches the ball. It's I'm dribbling, catch, shoot. There is no mental, block where I'm kind of deciding. Rui's in a very robotic state where, oh, if this guy does this, then I can pump fake, get to my mid-range shot. But if one thing is messed up within that, a guy reaches here, someone's not in that, the help position is there, it messes the whole thing up. But no, I'm with you. There's a robotic nature to his movement, and it's not aesthetically pleasing either. His drives are, it's trying to dunk everything or wild bank shots that kind of push off the rim.
JK Productions writes, need like 30 from Luka. If Braun is injured to step up. I don't think Braun is injured. So,
I don't think so.
Saturday's going to be fascinating because, like the Lakers, we talked a second ago about removing the training wheels from the defense and the way that the defense has responded to that, with Anthony Davis essentially being the training wheels. It's going to be interesting to watch a game that Luka plays in that LeBron doesn't and see what that looks like. Not saying that's coming on Saturday, but like I think LeBron has kind of been Luka's training wheels to a certain extent, where Luka is trying to get his conditioning right. He's trying to get his offensive rhythm right and all this stuff. And like, if he doesn't quite have it, it's really easy for him to just see like, oh shit, LeBron's standing over there. And he just like finds LeBron. At some point that's going to have to fall by the wayside, like it's going to, Luka's going to have to be like, no. I'm not going to take the easy way out here. I'm not going to like rotate the ball over to LeBron and let him figure this out. I actually have to be the engine of this offense. And even like that's very different. Like rotating the ball over, like when Luka and LeBron are on opposite wings and it's just like a skip pass over there. It's like, all right, I don't have it on this side. LeBron, you figure it out on that side. Like that's one thing. I don't love those type of plays. What I would much rather see is to have LeBron, like instead of getting the ball in that opposite wing, LeBron just like run to Luka's side of the court and set a screen and get the ball. If he is going to get the ball from Luka, I'd much rather him get it in the short roll than in basically like a soft reset of the offensive set. Like that seems a lot more productive, and that I feel like is the next step of the offense.
I agree. Yeah, where Luka already compromised the defense, then LeBron can attack off of that, or vice versa. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like that's been that's an interesting way to look at it. I'm with you. I think it's funny. LeBron had 11 turnovers tonight. I kind of need Luka to have a game where it's me and I'm doing everything. I'm if I'm gonna pick up 11 turnovers, so be it. I'm gonna take every shot that I need to, and I'm gonna find out where you want the ball, where you want the ball. But this kind of walking, in practice mode or trying to kind of feel it out. I think that kind of slows the process. So hopefully Saturday is the kind of beginning of that. Luka Jokic games are always super exciting and fun, or classics. I think last year Kyrie had like a game winner with his left hand, in the last game they played. So should be a fun one.
I hope they tamper their asses off. All right. Justin Tyndall writes, Blazers had 4 losses in a row, but won 10 of 11 before that. So I guess this would have been their 4th loss in a row, because math doesn't quite math.
Right. They had 3 losses coming in a row.
John Drake writes, really dislike the 3-guard lineups. Goodwin, Gabe, and Austin. Need Cam to have an awakening. We need his skill set. JJ needs to try Reaves and Rui off of the bench. Love Jemison over Len. All right, a lot going on here. So I agree. Like I think the 3-guard lineups tonight were born of necessity than they were like something. They didn't have Ando, and they didn't have Luka, and I still I have to think that Dorian is still on a bit of a minutes restriction. He played 33 tonight, to Rui's 35, or Gabe only played 16. So like I think it was more of like a stretch kind of a thing. But I don't think Cam is going to play for the Lakers again this year. Like
I don't. Yeah, I don't think so either. I did start the season think Cam would be very much within the rotation, and he was. But once they traded for Dorian, and I think Cam Reddish kind of stopped becoming the defensive ace that he was and tried to turn into the offensive player.
Got out of November.
I think it lasted a little bit longer. I think we got into like the first week of December. I think he pushed it a little bit.
I'm not even sure we got out of October.
We got out of October. Cam Reddish was contributing in November. But yeah, Austin is not coming off the bench. Rui, there's a chance.
I think Dorian eventually does start. Like,
sure,
but I think eventually but Austin isn't going anywhere. I don't think there's no need to move both of them to the bench, right? That's the kind of thing Ham would have done. Ryan Lucas, a healthy Kleba coming back before the playoffs is underrated. Kleba will have missed months, plural, and then he's going to escalate straight from like that level of intensity back before he got hurt to playoff level basketball is tough. I do think the longer the Lakers play in the playoffs, the more Kleba becomes interesting, is what I'll say.
Right. And I think I saw a report there was a chance he comes back before the regular season ends. So maybe a few games can come under his belt. I think he played with the German team over the summer, if I have that correct. My point with that is Kleber's been in a lot of big games. He was part of their finals run as well. Another guy that I think would help give some familiarity to Luka and just be a pick and pop threat even more than I think Rui is. He has much more of a quick gun on that and kind of an understanding where to stand. So, and it's pretty good, I think, like defensive 5 when he's healthy. So that'd be cool, but I'm not holding my breath for Maxi Kleber to ever really play in a Lakers uniform. It feels like he's become the D-Lo. Well, you look at Maxi's contract, can be moved in the summer. It feels like that's kind of
Gabe, 22 and a half mil. All right.
Gabe's
final one here is George Santiago writing, congrats on being able to sign the fam for benefits. Well, it was the kids. Jen, we were on Jen's benefits before, so it was kind of nice. But yeah, it's been a long 2 years, is what I'll say. And without getting too wishy-washy here, we have built this stupid thing, this plane while it's been flying. We've been trying to add to it as best we can on the budget that we have and what little budget that we have. And it frankly is like somebody like Raj has been a huge component of this. And I can't wait to see where Raj he goes in his career as the opportunities become more real. Harrison has been like, whatever you need, man, I'm here for it. He's been great. The audience and this community has been incredible. My my bosses at Odyssey have been great as well. You know, I approached them and I told them kind of what I had in mind eventually, and they were like, "All right, let's get there." And Danny Freisinger and Bill Enever have been absolutely vital in helping us reach this point. And then my family has just been incredible. You know, Jen has been insanely patient, you know, to watch me get kicked in the nuts by this industry as often as this industry kicks everybody who works in it directly in the nuts, and still being like, no, you know, this is what you're meant to do. Let's figure it out. Let's get you these opportunities and all of that. My kids, like, they are the reason that I do this. It doesn't matter what kind of a show that I have or what my mentions look like on any given day. The fact that, like, Miles just looks at me as if I'm the entire world, or Avery looks at me like I'm Superman, makes it a lot easier to do this. So, really cool day today. And we have some, like, I'm not even kidding. I know I've been teasing this for a long time, but we have some really bleeping cool things coming, especially to those of you who are Lakers fans, and active on Twitter and with podcasts and stuff like that. We have some incredible stuff lined up. And my legit goal in all of this is to make it so that Raj can one day sit where I'm sitting too. And or one of my goals is to get him to this point too. And Raj, like, you've been absolutely, like, I actually think it's pretty fitting that you get to sit here and we get to, like, talk on a night like tonight when I get a comment like that from George. So I'm telling you, man, I've been doing everything I possibly can to put you in the right spots, um and it's because of everything that you have done for this channel and for me personally. You're the man, dude, and I can't wait to hopefully one day repay it to the tune that you deserve it.
Yeah, it's been awesome building this plane. I'm not an aero engineer, but it feels like the plane's flying pretty well.
We're working
So
on it.
yeah, excited to keep going on this, and still a lot of games left, and we're just gonna keep going here, man. So it's been exciting to do this for the last few years. We've gotten closer as these last few years have gone on, and yeah, it's been a really exciting and fun ride. You know, kind of building this back up.
We're at that stage where it's like I kind of sort of just want to hit fast forward to see where where we're at, like 6 months or so, once the stuff that I've been working on behind the scenes is really implemented to the extent that it can be. And I'm telling you, like, you like Jovan stuff, you like the LFR stuff, you want us all to work together, like, there's my soft tease. It's all coming. Like, it's all coming, and we're gonna be doing some really cool stuff together. So with that said, and with you know, the positive vibes that we have heading into the weekend, that is going to do it here for this week's episodes of the Lakers Lounge. The Lakers beat the Portland Trailblazers in Portland tonight to the tune of 110 to 102, to get on the right side of things again in the win column. Saturday's game is going to be great. So Jen is on call this weekend, which means we aren't really going to be doing anything. So if the Lakers mess around and beat the Denver Nuggets on Saturday night, I might just hop on here and act a fool. They play at 7:30. It's like it's a good night to hop on here and enjoy a win if they're able to pull that one off. I might hop on here and see the stage to whoever wants to come on. So hopefully they're able to do that and make that happen, because that'd be a fun win. But
Yeah. 5:30 Pacific, by the way. You said 7:30, 5:30.
My time.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm talking like I'm talking. All right, so that game starts at 7:30, probably wrap at like 10:30, 11 my time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they win, I might have a little bit of fun here on the air. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin. That was Raj Chapalu. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that review button and the upwards thumb button that you see right there on the YouTube page as well. If you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/ /@Lakers Lounge. And then if you guys are listening to this in the morning via podcast, please hit that subscribe button and the 5-star review button as well to keep this thing going in the right direction. So have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your week. Make somebody else's. And then we will talk to you guys hopefully on Saturday if the Lakers somehow beat the Denver Nuggets. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everyone.